but it is recording. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I can access this video when I need to, because the way that Gotham, I don't know if you've met him, he's the department head, department chair, he's my boss. The way that he wants things done is he wants all of our meets or chats, whatever you want to call these things, he wants them all archived, which is to say recorded, and then posted to a YouTube channel, which I've already got. And that way, in the event that you have to miss a class, you're sick, a car accident, you're out of town, whatever happens, you can access the material so you're not completely lost. So that is in the works. So hopefully, and if you guys have ever recorded Zoom to the cloud, let me know how to access it, because I'm sure I can just Google it. But if you know how to do it, that would be awesome. Welcome to Digital Illustration, everybody. This is a 16-week class where we are going to focus on really Adobe Photoshop. That's primarily what we're doing here. Some of you will want to use Procreate, totally fine. I will demo Procreate. My iPad's sitting back there. First question a lot of people ask, do I have to have an iPad? Do I have to have Procreate to pass this class? No, you do not. I would highly encourage you, though, not to run out and drop $1,100 and get an Apple Pen and the program and stuff. By virtue of you being COD students, you can check out iPads that already have Procreate loaded on them. And I would really encourage you to do that. Your lab fees have paid for it already. So you should, even if you're a completely online student, this would be a good way for you to get your money's worth being a COD student. Again, it's not mandatory, but what I would do is I would go on Friday. I would check one out. You can keep it all weekend. You can play around with it, because Procreate has very quickly turned into a standard kind of in the industry, especially when it comes to digital illustration, which is the name of the class is a little maybe bit misleading. I mean, yeah, we're drawing some stuff, but we're also compositing a lot of stuff. We're working with photography. We're working with typography. So there's a lot of stuff that won't be hand drawn, quote unquote, but there are some projects that will be very much drawn. For those people, if you're like me, I have a very specific pipeline when it comes to my illustrations. Depending on what it is that I'm doing, I like the tactile sensation of working traditionally. So this is a page from one of my comics. I'll start digitally. I don't know if you can see, it's got a very faint blue line on here. A little bit right there. This is what's called non-repro blue, non-reproduction blue. And I'll draw it in Procreate or Photoshop, lightly sketch it out with this blue, print it out on comic paper, and then ink it traditionally. That's the pipeline for my comic books. When it comes to other stuff, it might be all digital, it might be all traditional, or generally speaking, it's like half and half. But more about that, I'll show you guys comic pages and how all that stuff works in the weeks to come, especially for those people out there that want to get into comics and kids' books and stuff like that. But let's push all that stuff aside for a second. My name is William Hahn. You can just call me Will. You don't have to worry about Mr. I mean, if it makes you feel better, Mr. Hahn. I do not have a PhD. I have an MFA, so I don't think technically I'm a professor. I have a lot of students that they feel more comfortable. Professor Hahn, Professor Hahn. That's fine. It's not going to bother me. But if you want to just keep it informal, it really doesn't bug me. Every time someone says Mr. Hahn, I feel like my dad's behind me or something. So if you want to just call me Will, that's fine. If you want to just call me Hahn or whatever, it's your guys' class. You call me whatever you want. I've been teaching for 18 years, 19 years. I don't know. It sounds weird when you say it out loud like that. But one of my very first classes at art school was forget what they called it, but it was this class. It was a Photoshop class. And that was the first time I ever touched the program. I was scared to death because there was a portfolio review. And it was pretty serious back then. Like if you didn't pass the portfolio review, you were out of the program. Like that was it. So your Photoshop class, your multimedia class, and your video class, you had to bring your A game. So not knowing anything, I had to pay a tutor, and I worked in the lab like till midnight until they kicked me out just to get good at it because I didn't know it. I didn't know anything. A lot of you probably have had it in high school. You've probably taken the prereq, which was a little bit of Photoshop, a little Illustrator, a little InDesign. All this to say, you know kind of what the program is. Like you've seen it before. You might have messed around with it. You might be really good at it. I don't know. I treat this class like a very beginner class, and then we work our way up. My job, if after 16 weeks, you can say, I feel very comfortable in the program. I know how to use it. I know what it's for. I feel like I'm an intermediate Photoshop user. To me, that would be a success. I have taught Photoshop pretty much every semester, every year, the past 17 years. Why do I even bring that up? I know this program inside and out. I'm not going to say I know everything about it. I don't think anybody knows everything about it. It constantly changes. So if you use it for web design, you know a very specific part of Photoshop. If you use it for painting, you know a specific part, photography, specific part. I try to be pretty well balanced and know a lot of it. And teaching a lot of these foundation classes, intermediate, advanced classes, I have come across virtually every question students have asked. And it's great because it ups my game too. I always throw out the invitation, try to stump the chump. If you can come up with a question this semester that I've never heard before, and I'm like, I don't know, let me do a little research, points to you. Because I know the problems that you're going to encounter probably before sometimes you even encounter them. Because I've done it. I've seen it, I've done it, I've heard it. I only bring that up because I want you to know that you're in really good hands. I've taught a couple classes where I was way out of my depth, shouldn't have been teaching them. And it was a really grimy feeling. You might have had instructors where you're like, I don't know if this person knows what they're talking about. You might be right. This won't be one of those classes. I have seen it, I've done it. I live it. Like I use Photoshop all the time, all the time. And when I show you projects, know that a lot of them are demos, but a lot of them are like my projects too. So it's not just like, hey, do as I say. No, this is how I do it. So you should be in pretty good shape for the next 16 weeks. Now, maybe bragging a little teeny bit, but I've also worked with a lot of other programs. I'm really good at Illustrator. I'm good at After Effects. I'm good at Premiere. Not very great at web design. In fact, probably not good at web design. But my background's in animation. I did a lot of 2D animation in college. So if you've got questions about other classes, I would love to hear them. I'd love to take a crack at them. I love typography. I love color theory, layout. I like design. It's about that simple. So if you've got other questions for other classes, cool. Let me know. But I would ask if it's a little off topic. Maybe you're doing something for your other Illustrator class or your grids class or whatever. If you could wait maybe till the end of the meet, that way I can stop recording. I'll just keep the meets, the recorded chunks anyways, about what is pertinent to this week's material. And then if we go off topic, that's great. But I would like to end the meet there, and then we can kind of just like nerd out and talk about whatever it is that you got questions about. I'm going to open it up to questions. I don't think there'll be a ton, but you never know. After that, what I'd like to do is take a tour of Blackboard, show you how I set it up. I know that Gotham wants a certain amount of uniformity, if that's even a word. I think you know what I mean. He likes things uniform. That way a student comes from one class into another and they're like, whoa, this is totally weird. Why do they have this all laid out strange? So it should look a lot like your other classes, but there might be nuances that if you've got questions, that would be a good time to ask about how I structured things. So we'll take a tour of the Blackboard workspace. If we're good on that, we'll start talking right about project one. I'd like to get right to it. Talk about like all the different parts that are due there. We'll do a lecture on collage, really more a presentation than lecture. All of my presentations, all of my demos, everything that I'm going to do, I share with you guys. So I don't know if you've been looking at Blackboard, but I've been releasing things incrementally. By the end of this session, hopefully you take it all. It's yours, right? A lot of this stuff I had to pay for, so we'll just say it fell off the back of a truck to you, because I don't know how cool it is to be sharing brushes that I bought, but I don't care. So grab that stuff, create a folder, call it digital illustration, and just start dumping actions and textures and links and all that stuff. Because you never know, you might end up coming back and using it. There'd be nothing worse than saying, oh man, he had that really cool I don't know, PDF. I can't find it. Once the class is closed, you can't access it. So try to scoop up as much freebies as you can. So we'll do the lecture, then we'll probably take a 10-minute break. Every class I like to take a 10-minute break. I've been reading more and more stuff about sedentary. I don't know if you know what that word is, but guys, as a designer, you end up sitting a lot. I got a standing desk, so I might switch it up. But sitting a lot is not good for a human. It's just, we're not designed to do this. Your lower back will start to hurt, your neck will start to hunch, your sciatica will start flaring up. Older you get, the worse it gets. So we will be taking a break. Yeah, you already feeling it now? So we will take a break. We'll do a 10-minute break. We'll come back in here, and then we will do 2 Photoshop exercises. And then what else we got? And I guess we'll kind of finish with collage, talking about what your guys' topics are and what's due on Thursday. Any questions? Is anybody confused? Anybody need anything? These meets, we have to be here. It's mandatory. I'll try not to keep you until 9:20. I think that's a bit much, but we have to hang around until about 8:45. So regardless of where you're at or what you're doing, make sure that you're actively logged in. I don't care if your screens are on. If you want to keep them on, great. I love to see you guys. Mute yourself if you don't have anything to say. But if you've got a question, unmute, fire away. It's not going to throw me off. When I'm demoing, I sometimes don't see the chat pod. It might get covered up. So if you've got a question and it's been 3, 4, 5 minutes, just unmute and say, hey, could you show that again? Could you explain that? Whatever. All right. So anybody have any questions, concerns? Yeah, go for it.
I have one question, and you'll probably go over once we go through the syllabus, but now that we're just open
Yep,
to questions.
got plenty of time.
My question, so mm, when you say like, oh, it's due Thursday, does it need to be completely done? And the reason why I'm asking is because I always try to have everything done for when the professor asks for it, but I'm also like, I'm a full-time student, also full-time job, and I do so many things. And like my day consists from it starts like at 7 a.m. to 9:20 every day because I have this amount of online classes and also in-person classes plus work.
Mhm.
So the amount of break that I have is like 30 minutes before, like from one class to the other.
Mhm.
So maybe for Thursday, depending on how big the assignment is, I won't have it ready. I'm not saying I won't have it ready for this
Mhm.
specific assignment, but I'm just putting it out there to try to understand how you work because I also try to do my best to get like the best grade, but also not burned out myself. So yeah.
So that's a good question. Depending on what it is, and yeah, we will go over it a little bit. The way that the class is structured is actually, let me back up and I'll come to this. So I taught at COD in person for, I think, 6 years. And then I ended up getting another job for the past 6 years. Last year was the first time I came back to COD fully remote, so just online. A year ago from the fall, a year ago from right now, was the first time I did it, and it was okay. It wasn't great. I was surprised at how rusty I was getting back to it, and I just felt like the class could have been a lot better. So I took all of my notes, made a bunch of adjustments, changed things up. So last spring, I guess 6 months ago, same class. but revamped. It worked great. So I was really pleased. So I took that class and I was like, okay, so it worked out really well. Kids had a good time. They learned a lot, but there were still a few little things. I'm like, I could tweak this, I could tweak that. That's what I did over the summer. So in Blackboard, I just copied my shell from spring over, and I'm just going to make those 5, 6 little adjustments. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this class is even better than in the spring. And if that's the case, that'll be awesome. So to your question, the way that this works is the class is kind of front loaded. So the first 8 weeks will be more work than, well, that's not the right way. There's more work due in the first 8 weeks, but I don't want to scare anybody. You'll see it, I always try to, I'll do an announcement the day of class talking about what we're going to cover. That's kind of my calendar. I've got a schedule on Blackboard, but it's really just copied and pasted calendar stuff. Take it with a grain of salt. If we need to spend more time or less time, don't be completely tied to that schedule and think like, oh, this is the day that we're doing adjustment layers. It might be. But what you see here in the chat pod, this is the stuff that I would like to cover. So all this is a copy of today's announcement. So you'll see we're doing the welcome. We're going to be getting to the syllabus and expectations. I already talked about attendance. I'll take attendance about 8:45. So make sure you hang out until then. You have 2 exercises. Here's the demos / exercises. Selections, adjustment layers, and selections, adjustment layers. So today we're really talking about selections and adjustment layers. I think that's a pretty good place to start with Photoshop. Because like I said, you guys at least know what the icon is probably, and you understand that it's pixel based, hopefully. But what we're going to try to do is focus on like 3 things when it comes to Photoshop. Masking, that's a big one. Elisa and Gotham said our students don't know masking. So 8 weeks, maybe every week, we're going to do a masking exercise. Just so come December, everyone's like, I got it. I figured it out. We're going to talk about selections and how they relate to masking. We're going to talk about file setup, naming layers, organizing layers, grouping layers, things like that. And we'll also talk about non-destructive editing methods. So adjustment layers, masks, smart objects. These are the stuff that I want to get through this semester. If everyone can say, yeah, I got it. I know how these things work. I know why I would want to use a mask. I know why I would want to use an adjustment layer. Success. And hopefully along the way, that's the technical stuff. Guys, I could teach Photoshop to 8-year-olds. The technical stuff, you guys could Google it. You can just Google what an adjustment layer is. You don't need me for that. I'll help you, but that stuff is out there. Ideally, we're going to take that stuff, all that technical stuff, and then marry it with good design decisions. That's kind of what I'm getting paid for. So having a designer's eye, letting you know that, maybe we should flip it this way because it reads a little bit better and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So first 8 weeks, there are going to be a lot of exercises. In fact, today there are 2. These exercises, most of them take about 2 to 3 minutes. So what'll happen is I'll show you where these exercises are. I'll ask you to download them, follow along with me. You'll be done by the end of class. And those you can just submit. All of the exercises will be due the next meet. So everything that's due on Thursday is due at 6 o'clock. So what we've got due, and maybe we'll just, I'll go ahead and show you the class. I'll show you everything that's due. I'll brief you real quick. There's 2 exercises. Each one should, we're going to spend a little bit more time because I'm going to explain things. So each exercise maybe will take 5 to 10 minutes, but you will be done in 5 or 10 minutes. So that's easy. You've also got 3 other things due. You'll have your collage topic, which should take about a minute. You will have a collage mood board, which 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll show you how to do one. Most of you guys have done mood boards, or some people call them, what's the other name that people use for mood boards? Anybody remember it? Anybody call a mood board something else?
Mind map.
We're going to be doing mind maps too. That's the other thing that's due. That's a pre-viz exercise. And one of my big things is showing you guys different techniques to come up with unique ideas. Your mind map will probably take about a half hour, maybe an hour. So let's pile it all together. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. In an hour and a half, you should have everything done. So hopefully you
Yeah,
could,
that's fine because usually if we use the time in class to do most of this assignments that are like due almost right away, like the next class, I'm fine with that because I'll do them in class.
yeah, I
I
would,
thought it was more like homework assignments.
there will be homework assignments like project one, you'll
Well,
have,
yes, but
but it's not,
I meant like the short ones.
yeah, the exercises, I'm not gonna, guys, I get it. You're online for a reason. You got jobs, you got kids, you got work. This works in your schedule, right? I have a feeling that 2 or 3 of you are logged in and not even in front of the camera right now because you're cooking dinner, you're putting your kids to bed, or whatever you're doing. I don't care. That's fine. As long as you can get the work done and tune out, if you watch the archive or whatever, that's fine. You do, your time better than I do. So as long as you're getting stuff done and you're not disrupting class and asking for like extensions and stuff like that, be here for attendance. But if you don't want to chime in, I'm not going to make you. There will be a couple times where we break into small groups, though. Those are the times that I ask you to be present. But outside of that, yeah, I'm not going to throw a bunch of stuff at you just to be like keep you busy. I don't want to do that. As long as you are getting the program and you're getting the concepts, this class shouldn't be any harder than it has to be. So yeah, I'm not going to be like plan on 6 hours outside every day. No. Yeah, you will have homework. We're going to introduce project one. It'll be doing 3 weeks. So if you got Sundays between noon and 2 and you're going to chip away every Sunday for 2 hours, great. I would caution everybody though, design is, for whatever reason, it attracts a lot of procrastinators. Like you don't see a lot of nursing people that are procrastinators or tax people that are procrastinators. Like designers, for whatever reason, a lot of designers wait till the very last second. I'm not saying you can't do that, but if you need to make adjustments, you don't really give yourself a lot of time. So something that I'm a big fan of is 50% critiques. So in a week and a half, your first project, your collage, should be about halfway done. And now that's going to look different for a lot of different people, but at least we can say, I see where this is going. This looks good. This you should change. Think about this. That way you can make those adjustments. Because I used to do critiques for the final. I don't do that anymore. Because once the final is in, a lot of people are like, I'm moving on to the next project. And they don't take the advice to make it better. They just like, well, I'm done. You're not really probably done. So if we do it at the 50% mark, people are way more apt to be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. I should include this, or I should change it to yellow, or I should blah, blah, blah. So 50% critiques will be a big deal. A lot of our projects are on 3-week increments. So you can just kind of mentally plan every 3 weeks, I'm going to have a project. Every week and a half, I'm going to have half of it done. About that simple. Good question. Any other questions before I share my screen with you guys? All right, well, if there are, just let me know. But while I'm sharing my screen, I won't see these messages. All right, let's do this. Share my screen. Closed caption. No, thank you. Share screen. All right. So here's the agenda. All right, so here's how I set up class. Got a lot of folders here. Some of this stuff you won't be able to see right away. Guys, I used to read the syllabus. I'm not going to do that anymore. You can read it. It's boilerplate. It was handed to me. I just changed the names and the dates, put it in a little quick calendar schedule, and I think the projects are in there. If not, I'm not hiding anything. I will release all the projects right now. In fact, I'll show you what they all are. Announcements. So these are all the announcements from last year. And what I'm doing is I'm just changing the dates as I release them. So we got our welcome. We'll talk a little bit about Behance, but today's not the best day to do it. Here's today's agenda. This will be Thursday's agenda. We're going to review your mind maps. We're going to review your topics. We'll talk about image resolution. We'll do an editorial illustration, artboards. Here's our demos, blah, 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 blah. That'll be on Thursday. So look, every class, there'll be a new announcement. Now, Isabella brought up a good point. If something is assigned on Tuesday, it's due on Thursday at 6, not at 6:30, guys. That's important. Remember, it's 6 o'clock, and you won't be able to submit afterwards. So make sure that you submit before 6, otherwise it'll boot you out. You can submit late for partial credit. Partial credit would be you lose 10% each class that it's not in. So if it's perfect, if it's 100%, and you submit Thursday at 6:30, it's a 90%. Try to get it in as soon as possible just for the most points. If you submit late, you're not going to be allowed to. So what you need to do is email it to me. That way I know what's late and what's on time. I can talk about that more. If we're a little fuzzy on that on Thursday, Thursday will be our grace period. Okay. I'd like them in by 6, but if people are still like, oh, you know, thing starts at 6:30, I totally forgot. That'll be your mulligan. Okay. But after that, it has to be in on time. So be looking for agendas. Close this up. Schedule, like I said, this is just an outline. Look at it. Assignments and projects, this is going to be important. I'm going to close this up for a second. Resources, anything that I think is interesting or worth sharing will be in here. I've already let go my links. I let go of the rubrics for projects. This is a generic rubric. It's kind of the basis for all of mine, but if we're doing animation, that rubric looks a little different than if we're doing sequential art. And that will look a little different than our book covers. So if you want to see the specific rubrics, they will be attached to your projects. Oh, don't need that. Demo files, anything that we're going to be using. Go ahead and make this visible. For demos will be in here. In fact, a collage demo, we'll probably get to this on Thursday. So collage demo and collage demo part 2, I'll be releasing these in the days and weeks to come. So anything that I show in class and I'm like, hey, take a look at this. This is how you could do blank. Just grab it. It'll be here. Most of them are PSDs. I don't think we're going to use any today. Class recordings. This is where our link right here to our YouTube will be. Course presentations. This one's already unlocked. We're going to do this today. I wanted to give these to you as well, though. And the reason for that is it's cool to, you know, watch me go through it in class, but a lot of you will see something that you like or that you want to kind of pin. I'll just give you the PowerPoints and you can save them. That way, if, you know, in 2 years from now, you're like, oh, I remember that Polish poster lecture. There was that really weird Terminator poster. I wish I had it. Well, you can. But keep in mind, like once the class is closed, you're going to lose access to this. So if you're like me and a media hoarder, just start grabbing all this stuff. Just download the stuff that you want right now. A link to artists and designers. We'll talk about this girl on Thursday, Erin Smith, because she's really good at collage. So that link is accessible, and I will unlock these as the weeks progress. So that would be artists, designers. I'll probably add to it as well. This is where we find our Zoom class, which everybody's here. So obviously you found it, which leads us to the big one. Resources and assignments and projects. Resources. I had said earlier, I'm a really big proponent of pre-visualization exercises. A lot of these would be mood boards, or gosh, I wish I could remember the other name for them. Not spirit boards, trend boards. I don't know. Mood boards is what I'm going to say. I don't think I got a template for one. Let's see. It doesn't look like it. That's fine. We're going to create it ourselves. But pre-viz worksheets, this should be unlocked. And if we drop this down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 of these. Only one is unlocked, and it's a mind map template. We're going to do this in probably 20 minutes. So if you want to grab this PDF, we'll be using it. I love these things. I'm a big fan of mind maps, but before, during, and after, we'll use this for project 2. The 635 we'll use for project 3. Word association, I'll show you what it is. Maybe one girl used it last year and it was pretty cool. That was a little bit tough though. I'm going to unlock a sample creative brief because as a young designer, sometimes you don't know what these things look like and how to write one. So there's one if you need some structure for it. But eventually all this stuff will be available to you. So those are previs worksheets. We'll be using a lot of those. All right, let's collapse resources for a second. Assignments and projects. So we have 6 projects. 2 of them have already been released. We've got a collage and we've got project 6. So here's one adjustment that I made from last year already. Last year, I told students around midterms about project 6. Project 6 is what you want to do. In a lot of these classes, there's not really a lot of wiggle room. We tell you to make a record sleeve. We tell you to make an annual report. We tell you to make a collage. Now, within that, you can be a little bit more creative, but like we give you the project. What I like to do is for a final negotiated piece, you tell me what you want to do. As long as this fits under the very broad umbrella of art and design, there's a good chance I'm going to say yes. Now, I would say that whatever it is has to at least touch Photoshop or Procreate at some point in time. But if you want to do a mural, and you think that you could draft it up in Photoshop and then paint it on a wall somewhere, cool, let's see what you got. Keep in mind, it's going to be cold by the time that December rolls around. But if you're more into photography or you like animation or you want to do a comic book or something, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there now. That way, we don't wait 8 weeks. Some of you might have a big break over Thanksgiving. It's like, this would be a great time to get started. Do it. Don't delay. If you think you might already know what you want to do, email me. Let me know, hey, I got this idea. What do you think? We can talk about it. That way, you're not waiting to the very end and you've only got 2 weeks to do something that you'd like to do. So that's the reason I unlocked that already. So be thinking about it. We'll come back to this around midterm and I'll solidify what everyone wants to do. Don't wait to the very end to start this. Incrementally chip away at it. That way, when the 16 weeks rolls around, some of you might already be done. And it's just like, I'm done with that class. All right. Project 1 is a collage. So we can click on this. We've got a couple tiers to this. We have the collage itself, which we'll go over. You need a mood board for it. This will be due on Thursday. A mind map, also due on Thursday. Your sketches, we're going to make due on next Tuesday. So 9/2 at 6 o'clock. It's worth 10 points. Sketches are just kind of like rough ideas, and they can be in Photoshop as well. They don't have to be hand-drawn. I like them hand-drawn, but if it's easier for you to comp it up in Photoshop, that's cool. 2 sketches, different ideas of the same project. So 2 different looks at the same thing. Or they could be 2 different kind of ideas on the same thing. But I don't want to get too far ahead. We'll leave this more to Thursday. So let's go back to Tuesday. Or we'll talk about that on Thursday. What's due on Thursday will be the mood board, the mind map, and then the exercises. So we'll start with these 2 things, and after break, we'll get to our exercises. This is a folder that we're going to use probably every day. So if we drop down exercises, you can see we have a total of 28 exercises. And if we roll to the bottom, exercise 1 and exercise 2 should be available to you. So if you want to grab these files, we're going to be working with these today. These are the ones that will teach us, fundamental Photoshop practices, and I'll do them with you. I've also linked to external databases. A lot of these come from the Adobe Learn page because, you know, why listen to me do it? Look, might as well listen to like the Adobe engineers and technicians. They're great. They give you the files. You can learn a lot from those portals. So that's it. We got exercise 1, exercise 2, due at 6 o'clock on Thursday. Most of you could probably submit today if you wanted to. We've got our mood boards and our mind maps due on Thursday as well. So 4 things. How do we feel? Confused yet? Anybody?
I have one potential concern. This is gonna sound somewhat, not to sound somewhat like, I don't know what the word is. I noticed in the exercises, there was words like generative.
Mhm.
Will we have to use the AI? Because I very much morally oppose AI.
Yeah, that's fine. We've got a lecture on AI and kind of the it's the word I'm looking
Gen
for.
AI, yeah.
The ethics possibly of using AI. To answer your question, yes, we are going to use AI to generate things because when I got hired back on, when Gotham hired me, man, the interview, I was like, I'm a shoo-in. I've already taught there. I've had this class. Like this should be easy. He kept me on the hook for an hour and a half, just talking and talking. At some point, I'm like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to get the job anymore. But I think he was just generally interested in what I had to say. But a good portion of that conversation, about 15 minutes, was about AI. And he's like, where do you stand on AI? Do you teach AI? How do you feel when students use AI? And guys, here's the reality. The genie is out of the bottle and it's not going back in. If you're not using AI to do blank, I'm not going to say what it is, but if you don't have that tool in your tool belt, then you're a deficient designer. Now, with the caveat, I'm not saying, and I don't want you to. In fact, I would know if you did. If you're just using AI to like make projects, that's not okay. Like that's not what AI is intended for. I know that if some of you might want to be a concept artist who's a very big, who's a very popular vocation 10 years ago. So anytime that you'd seen like a role-playing game or a board game or things like that, where, you know, it's usually like fantasy creatures. I love that stuff. Like to me, I was like, that'd be a dream job. A lot of that stuff has been replaced by AI prompts. Like those people have really had a hard go and it's completely narrowed the field, which sucks because it put a lot of good illustrators out of work. That said, AI is something that, for better or for worse, is a part of the design vernacular. So we'll use it insofar as much as if you needed to do blank. Let's say that one of the exercises is an image of a wasp, and the wasp is like, come on, it's cropped like this. So you get like the head of the wasp and some of the torso. What if the client said, yeah, it looks great, but I want to see the whole wasp and I want to use that image? What do? You use AI. And then what you do is you just type in a prompt, you know, like give me the rest of the wasp. It gives you a bunch of different options. So I want to show you how to use it. How much you use it, that's up to you. And there is the risk to be ran of overusing it. I'm going to have students every year now. It is what it is. But I need to put hard parameters, and it's in the rubric too, of like what constitutes plagiarism, you know, because AI is plagiarizing. That's not your work, but you should know how to prompt correctly. We've got another one where it's a magician flicking a playing card, and the playing card kind of looks like it's coming at you. We use AI to make the playing card. I think that's a totally legit solution to it, as opposed to us going out, buying a deck of cards, photographing it. Maybe we get the right card, maybe we don't. AI can do some really, really great stuff if you use it ethically. You could probably say that about almost anything too. What else about that? They brought up another point. Like I said, I've seen students overuse it. There's a penalty for that. And if it's just like full-blown plagiarized, I can't accept it. I had a kid, it was cool because he didn't even argue with me. He knew he was wrong, but he didn't do any work. It was all just Firefly, did everything for him. It's very obvious, guys. If you're like a good student and you hand in something that's like, whoa, my God, how did you do that? And there's no layers to it. It's pretty obvious what happened there. So that's why a lot of this process I'm so kind of militant about. If I see your process, if I see your sketches and I see your 50% and I see your mood board, I got a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. And then if something radically different happens at the 11th hour, I'm probably going to be like, hey, we need to talk. If you can explain it, great. I've accused some people of plagiarizing and I was wrong. And it's always my stock response. Take it as a compliment because I had no idea that you could do something that good. It was awesome. Very, very good job. Sorry that we had to have this talk, but you were right. Good work. So if you get that talk and you didn't cheat, again, just take it as a compliment. It hasn't happened in a while, so I'm not stressing over it. So I don't know. Does that answer any of your question, Rachel?
It answers it. I am not necessarily satisfied at the answer, but we will revisit this at the appropriate time.
That sounds good. Yeah. Don't worry about it too much. I mean, yes, you will have to create prompts. That's the nature of the class. And if you've got like a really, really big issue with it, you can always bring it up to the stand-in department chair. It's Miss Hillock. Gotham's on sabbatical this year, so
Oh, he is? Oh,
yeah. So
he's my summer teacher.
yeah, we're gonna leave him alone and let him get some well-deserved rest. But Hillock can answer any questions. But trust me, Gotham would back me up on this. Like he wants me to teach. He wants me to teach AI. So we'll dip into it. And like I said, you use it for what you want to. I'll tell you why I use it is when it comes to rapid idea generation. Because if I have a client, let's say that I'm working for a client called Ironworks, it's a bar and grill in Beloit. They want a logo. Okay, tell me a little bit about your company. Okay, cool. Tell me a little bit about some logos that you like. Cool. I take all this stuff, I'll prompt it into AI. Spit out 50 logos for me, and I can just turn that right over to the client. It cuts a lot of the BS right up front. And then that way you can say, I kind of like number 2, number 38 is interesting, and 42 is interesting. Right, now I've got an idea of what the client's thinking. I can take those 3 and then I can start to design. You can start to take those, okay, he likes angular shapes and she likes flourishes that are blue. And I can start to use that in Illustrator combined and start to modify those, send out 3 more that I've designed. What do we think? You don't want to waste a lot of time up front. I've seen this happen a lot where someone doesn't really understand a client's vision and they'll just start designing. They'll jump right into Illustrator, which is like one of the worst things you can do. And they're farting around with colors and type when they don't really understand what the client is trying to say. So they end up wasting an hour, 2 hours, more hours, only to find out, no, this isn't right. None of this is right. You've wasted time, which means you've wasted money or somebody's money. Nope. We really want to get a real crystal clear idea of what they're trying to say and the appropriate way to say it. So that's how I use AI. But have I ever used it to, here's a great example. The comic that I do is like a horror Western comic. I can't tell you how many times I've had to draw a ramshackled town. Every once in a while, it's like, you know what? I'm going to use AI just to see what comes up. I need a town in 3-point perspective and the church is in the middle. Maybe it gives me something that's good, maybe not, but at least I can start to say, well, the perspective looks good. And I can take that, drop down the opacity, trace out the stuff that I like, trash the stuff that I don't. It just gets the ball rolling. So
I understand that. I'm also concerned about the environmental impact, but that's a start for a different time. You've answered the question enough.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know if you guys need anything else. We'll try to make it as less taxing as possible. But yeah, if there's ever anything that you need more clarification on, or you just have umbrage with, You can talk to me. We can do it privately if you think like it would be better serviced privately. Or I'm friends with Elisa. I have no secrets from her. We used to work together at the Art Institute. She's a dear friend of mine. You can email her. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. And then, you know, we'll figure it out that way too. I mean, I guess you could maybe email Gotham. I just don't know if he's checking email. I wouldn't.
I I actually am happy with this because okay, so I have multiple reasons. So for most of our classes, we can't use AI, which I understand because some students take too much advantage from it
Yeah,
and they end up not doing much. But how it's going now, everything is AI pretty much.
totally.
And I feel like we need to, at some point, start using it. And that will be probably something that will change in the next years inside of the academic profile and the academic structure
Yeah,
because there's no way that us as a designer and especially trying to keep our works alive and not having AI taking over everything, we need to know how to control it and use it in our for like our
No,
good. I don't know how to I don't even know how to say it, but the point is I really don't know how to use AI and like I'm really bad at making prompts and stuff like that. So I think having a little bit of knowledge on that will help me for the future and I feel like it's good. It's a good thing to have because I feel like soon a lot of companies before they hire you, they will ask you if you know about it and you know how to use it. And I feel like, yeah, I just want to know how to. Even if I don't use it and I don't prefer to use it and I prefer to do the things myself, I would like to know how to, if that's the case. So I'm really happy with this.
sure. Well, you can take the soon out of it because it's not a matter of soon companies are going to look for it. They are right now. Like if you are a designer and you want to get hired at Firebelly or Medicine Man, it's going to be in the interview. Like, tell us your experience with AI. And if it's none, they're going to find someone that has some or a lot. So this is what Gotham and I were talking about because so I teach high school in Rockford. I went from college to high school and I never really taught AI because some of those kids just cheat constantly. But now it's like, who cares? You know, at the end of the year, I'll show them like, hey, remember all that stuff that we did 8 months ago? You could have done it this way a lot faster. So I kind of wait to show them that stuff. But yeah, it's totally out there, guys. And it's just like another tool. Like you're not going to get hired if you don't know Photoshop. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get hired if you don't know Illustrator. And if you don't know AI to a reasonable degree, people do. And they're gonna find the person that knows that for the exact same reasons I said. Even if it's just a matter of rapid visualization, coming up with 20 ideas like that. Fine. I'm not saying you don't use those ideas and pass them off as your own and tell the client like, oh, it's done. There it is. No, that's not why I use it. But to just get the ball rolling, get a conversation started, it's great. You know, if I'm just doing backgrounds for my comics and I need a template, it's awesome. If I need a texture of old paper, do I have textures? Sure. Do I have databases I can go to? Yeah. Is it sometimes faster to just say, Firefly, create me an old grungy texture? Boom, done. Now, when we get to this lecture, we'll talk about the like the metrics or the quantifying how much is too much. And it's a real slippery slope, folks. I'm not a lawyer. I don't deal in IP. I can't tell you that at this point, suddenly it's plagiarism, and at this point, it's free domain. Someone smarter than me could probably get into it, but it's getting weirder, guys. You've seen it. You're on social media. I just saw Sydney Sweeney. It looked just like her ragging on Democrats, and I'm thinking like, you know, I say what you will about Sydney Sweeney or like her, don't like her, I don't care. But like I felt kind of bad for her in that moment. It's like clearly that's a deep fake, but it's so real. Like it looks just like her. It sounds just like her. Yeah, the lip sync isn't the best, but it's only going to get better. So I don't know, you know, like we're living in a pretty weird time right now. So yeah, we'll touch on AI, but it's not going to be like the driving force of this class.
Good. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, let's do this, folks. Let's take a look at this collage project. Let's understand it, and then let's move into mind maps and mood boards. That should probably bring us to 8 o'clock. We'll take a break. We'll come back here for 2 exercises, and then we'll see where we're at. So I'm going to share my screen again with you guys. All right, your first project is a collage. Now, some of you have done collages. Some of you haven't. It's totally cool. There is a theme to this collage. This is something that I made an adjustment on last semester, and it worked out pretty well. In the past, I just said, make a collage. And they weren't really good. Like they were just kind of meandering, pointless. Some of them look cool. Some of them, a lot of them didn't. So I'm like, you know what? There's got to be a better way of doing this. And I figured out that way. So I'll let you guys read through the assignment. Essentially, you're using Photoshop and you're going to be combining images. These must contain at least 3 patterns and 3 textures found or created, as well as 5 images found or created, and 5 drawings created. Guys, I'll probably adjust that. I want to see at least 5 images. And these can be pulled from Unsplash or any other high-res database like Pexels. Try not to use Google. Google is just really, really low res. I've linked to Unsplash. You guys have probably used it. COD has an account. It's a really good database. You're not going to be able to find everything. So if you like, I need a picture of LeBron James, it probably won't be there because that stuff is like really copyrighted. But if you need a picture of a polar bear or an American flag or the desert, boy, they got you covered. So minimum of 5 images. If you want to incorporate your own drawings, that's awesome. That would be great, but I'm not really going to make that mandatory. And I'm a little bit loose on the patterns and the textures. Yes, I would like to see some textures. Yes, I'd like to see some patterns, but I don't want to say it has to be 3 of each, because if you do it that way, it might just get muddy. It might be like, okay, I got my 3 patterns, I got my 3 textures, I got my 5 images, I got my 5 drawings. Well, now the thing just looks congested. So I'd rather see something that looks cool and not have as much stuff than something that's got all of that stuff, but just kind of got a little jumbled. Some of you will have way more than 5 images and they'll look great and tons of textures and tons of patterns, but we're going to focus on quality, not quantity of our sources. So once you land on your topic, and today you will pick a topic, you need to kind of pick an angle. And this is what I changed. So I've got a bunch of topics for you guys to choose from. Don't dwell on it. If you want me just to assign you one, I will. Pick something that you like, and then maybe think about something within that topic that speaks to you, that you're passionate about. Maybe like the stuff that's going on in Washington, you're a big fan of, or you don't like. Take a stance. Maybe it's about artificial intelligence. You like it or you can't stand it. Take a stance. Could be about, I see a lot of stuff on like the environment. You know, the seas are, you know, drying up. It's global warming, or we're running out of trees. See a lot of that stuff. See stuff on cyberbullying a lot. I'll show you the topics, but pick something and then take a stance. Because what we're going to do with these is we're ultimately going to use these as an editorial illustration. Where I see a lot of collage, good collage, is in that capacity. So if you're not familiar with what an editorial illustration is, think about a magazine, Time. Maybe Time is talking about the presidents of yesteryear, and you see a bunch of collages of different faces, and it's done in like a really cool manner. That's great. That's a nice lead-off article and a nice big image to kind of set us up for what we're about to read. That's what I would like to see these things as. Some of these come out really good, and those, what I encourage you to do is actually make a spread out of it when you get to your layout class. So treat this as a splash image. Maybe you've got a big headline piece of type on there saying, what happened to all the polar bears? And then on the right-hand side, 2 columns of justified type, real clean and tidy. That way, it's not just this thing. It's not just this, look at this weird thing that I made. I mean, cool, that's great. But if you give it a life, outside of just like, hey, I made this thing, I don't know what it is. Me neither. But hey, I made this collage. It deals with a lot of the deportations and some of the, like the humanity that's going on right here. And you give it an article, then a client can be like, oh, I see. It's an editorial illustration. Okay, so you've had some experience doing that. All the stuff that you do here at COD and then past that, try to think about a context for it. Chances are you don't just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to make a logo. Why? You know, like, that's great. Do the logo, but like, then do what with it? Put it on a menu, put it on a jewelry bag, put it on a jersey, you know, give it its context, give it a life outside of just this. I made this project, I made this thing. Mr. Hahn said, make a collage. So I made a collage. Yeah, but let's now put it into an environment where the collage can become even greater than the collage itself. Like it's got a purpose. Some of the objectives, we're definitely going to be working with layers, definitely going to be working with masks, definitely working with adjustment layers, understanding color harmonies. Yep, you got you, patterns and textures. So this is kind of what we're doing the next 3 weeks. It's worth, all your projects worth 100 points. Got 3 weeks on them. So 6 projects, that's 600 points out there. Your attendance for the year counts for another 100 points. So if you're here every day, ooh, easy 100. Exercises are worth 10 points. Mind maps, pre-viz exercises, sketches are worth 20 points. 50% critiques are worth 50% or are worth 50 points. That doesn't change. That's how it is for the next 16 weeks. So that's gospel. Okay. I put a couple collages in here. Not that I think that they're, well, I guess I think they're okay. They're definitely done in Photoshop. So I don't know, maybe that gets the ball rolling, so to speak. But yeah. So week 1, day 1, assignment given. Week 2, day 1. So next Tuesday, week from today, 50% critique. So make sure you got your stuff working. And week 3, day 2. So 2 weeks from Thursday, the final. And we won't have a critique. It says 50 points. It's actually 100 points. Should say that. Great. Yep, 100 points. All right, everyone clear on the project? Maybe not how to do it, maybe not how to get started, but we're clear on, okay, so we're doing a collage. A mood board. Actually, let's start with a mind map. Your topics, if I go to the chat pod, they should be, let's go to the announcements. It's in the chat pod as well, but here are your topics that you can choose from. Health, physical or mental, science, technology, politics, history, medicine, current events, business, travel, environment, personal, or fashion. So there's a lot of pretty broad topics, but this link here, no. Great. This link will break them down into subcategories. And I think it's a pretty good idea to kind of do this. So get out of here. So if you choose health and wellness, fitness and exercise, nutrition and diet, alternate medicine, healthy lifestyle habits. A lot of people will do nutrition too. I don't know why. Technology and gadgets, the Internet of Things, virtual reality, cybersecurity, cloud computing, blah, blah, blah. Business, personal finance, investing, marketing, economics. So even if you do travel and tourism, try to get more specific because that's pretty broad. That might be hard to kind of choose an angle. Travel adventure, that sounds fun. Ecotourism, cool. Must read books, no thanks. Environment and sustainability, green living and sustainability, renewable energy, education, online learning and e-learning. So lots of stuff to choose from. So pick something that you're somewhat interested in, okay? Keep it within these parameters. For this first project, I don't want any like weird wiggle room. Just there's a lot to choose from in here, so find something that kind of speaks to you. I'm going to, let's see. Social issues. Okay. Here's a pretty hot button topic. You know what? I'm going to stay away from that. Not that you should. I just for this first mind map, I want to do something a little bit more open-ended. So let's go back up to the top. And I'm going to pick this one, disease prevention. I'm going to pick that as my topic. Now, I don't really have a stance just yet, but sounds interesting. I don't know much about it. Maybe this is a chance for me to learn something here. So I'm going to copy this, Control C. Let's talk about our mind maps. So this is going to be under your previs exercise. Now you can feel free to make this yourself. I don't care what program you use. I'm probably going to use Canva just because it's easy. I could use Photoshop, I could use Illustrator, but why swat a fly with a sledgehammer? I think Canva is going to make it just a lot simpler. All right, so this is going to be under demos, resources. Under resources, previs worksheets, inside of this folder is a mind mapping template. And it looks like this. So I could just download this. In fact, I will. Download this. I don't know how big it is. I'll open it up in Photoshop real quick just to get an idea of how large this thing actually is. These need to be 11 by 17. And this is a 4 by 4 right now, so that's a little too small. If I wanted to do this in Photoshop, I would create a new document, file new. I would choose inches, 11 by 17. In this case, I actually want it wider than I do tall. It doesn't totally matter, but it's just a wider document. So I would do a width of 17, height of 11 inches, not pixels, and make sure your resolution is set to 300. 300 is a print resolution. That's what we're looking for. So then you could just choose create. Oh, I guess I plugged the wrong way. So I'll go to edit. Let's unlock this. Edit, or image rotation, and we'll do 9 degrees. Okay, so now we got a nice wide. And then from here, I could go to File, Place Embedded. It'll be in my downloads. Find, okay, boom. And I'm ready to get started. You know, actually, now that I'm in Photoshop, I'll just finish in Photoshop. I will show you how to use Canva, though, real quick, if you want to use it. Canva is a free tool. Some of you probably have used it quite a bit. For stuff like this, like I always, as the graphic design teacher, I always get tasked with doing flyers and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, this is just a really easy tool. In fact, here is my mood board from last year. We did vaccination, which I guess is pretty close to disease control. Okay, if I wanted to create a new document, go up to Home, go to Create, and I'm going to go to Custom Size. Make sure that it's not pixels. It's got to be inches. And it should have an 11 by 17 right here. But width of 17, height of 11, create the design. All right. So here I am. You could totally create this from the ground up. You don't need to use the template, but I've got it. So I'm just going to go to Upload, Upload a file. There's that mind map template. Let it upload, upload, upload. Where is it? Well, maybe it didn't like the PDF. Well, apparently it needs to be a JPEG. So I will go back.
Canva, you can look up for templates. They have already pre-designed mind maps.
Yes, they sure do. Yeah, if you look for mind maps, they've got tons. And guys, there are. Oh, I guess that works. I guess my design was right over here. But yes, you're absolutely right. If you go to just search mind map templates, there's tons. And guys, there are mind map generators online too. Mind map maker. Now, have I ever used it? I don't think so. It might ask me to log in, sign up, it's free. All of these things are going to do the same thing. I don't care what you use to make this thing. As long as it's 11 by 17, don't care. I wouldn't even really know what you use. You're going to submit it as a PDF though, so make sure that however you kick this thing out, try to use PDF. I will grade a JPEG. You won't lose points, but PDFs are really the best.
My
So
question, does it has to be vertical or it can be horizontal?
it doesn't really matter. It's easier
Okay.
for me to work horizontals, but you do whatever you need to. The important thing is that we come up with some ideas. So let me get my type tool here. Zoom into this a little bit. All right, I'm going to add a text box. Now I copied that piece of type, and if I hit Control V, disease prevention. Now it's a little too big. So let's get this onto 2 lines here. All right, so disease prevention is my topic. I put that in what's called focus. Focus is the center tier of your mind map. Out tier 1 are 6 bubbles. Now, I don't care how you guys put it together. I don't care what you use, but make sure you follow this structure. You've got something in focus. In my case, it's disease prevention. You have 6 bubbles coming off disease prevention. There are only 2 rules for a mind map. 1, no duplicates. So if you come up with a word, don't use it again, even if it's applicable, just 1 time. 2, do not overthink anything. The first thing that comes into your head, you write down. Don't worry about the usability of it. Don't worry about the value of it. That you will decide later, because you're going to have a bunch of words on this thing and you're not going to use them all. So if I say disease prevention and Sebastian says, I don't know, Aladdin's castle, I don't get it. I don't know why that made him think of that, but if that means something to him, that's what we're putting down here. All right, so let's get our chat pod out here. All right, in no particular order, folks, someone give it to me. When I say disease prevention, the first thing you think of is boom, go. Go ahead and type it in the chat pod and I'll just copy and paste. Let's get some answers in there. Good, good. All right, good deal. We'll start with vaccines. It's a good one. I'll come over here and duplicate that. And control, come on, you. Vaccines. Right there, I'll make it a little bit smaller. Good. Zoom in a bit. So we got vaccines. Let's duplicate that. And let's move it up to here. We've got masks. Excellent. Keep them coming, everybody. We need a few more. We got masks. Good. Duplicate that. Oh, got the wrong thing. Let's duplicate this. Move this down. I saw doctors, of course. Good. We might be good on tier 1 now. We'll see. If not, I'll bail you guys out. Doctor, duplicate this. Doctor, cleanliness, of course. Next to godliness, or so they say. Duplicate that. Move that down. Hospital and medicine, perfect. What is PPE? I'm not familiar with that. I'm not saying you're wrong, I just never heard that before. Anybody want to school me on what PPE is? I'll copy it. Sounds interesting. Personal protect. Oh, there you go. That would make sense. I should have known that from COVID. All right. We have created 1 tier away from disease prevention. Now, when I do mind maps for junior designers, we usually start with a project like a Valentine's Day card. Okay. So if I say, when I say Valentine's Day, you say what? And you don't have to type it in, but I can almost guarantee you someone's going to put heart. Someone's going to put roses. Someone's going to put chocolate, cupids, candies, red, pink, cards, etc. Right? That's what was on everybody's mind. So we put Valentine's Day in focus, and then we get all of that stuff out of our system. Because, and this is the reason that we use mind maps, if we're given a topic, chances are all of us are kind of thinking the exact same thing. And it's not that you're wrong. It's just that those are really obvious thoughts. So, you know what Hallmark and the greeting card company do not need? They do not need another Valentine's Day card with cupids and chocolates and hearts on it. You want to know why? Because they've got those. They've got tons of those. That's not different. That's not unique. That's not novel. That's just retreading the same old stuff that's been going on since cards were invented. Disease prevention, a little bit more of a, not as obvious, not as on the nose as Valentine's Day. But again, if I say disease prevention, I want you to make a collage about disease prevention. How many of us would have put a doctor on there? Maybe all of us. How many would have masks or hospitals? All of us. A syringe? All of us. Again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's just, it's really, really obvious. So as we begin to develop our mind maps and start to branch out, this is where things start to get more interesting. Your second tier and your third tier are where you start to get some really weird ideas. So let's do this. Let's just focus on masks now. So I would normally create little line branches. In fact, I'll do that. I'm not going to say I would do it and then not do it. So let's go to my elements. And I got some lines here. Go. Move this around a bit. One, duplicate. Two, duplicate. And as much as I like Canva, some of the controllers get a bit sticky. It's okay. 3, that's 4. Duplicate. 5. Last but not least is 6. Okay. It's a little messy. I'll be the first to agree. I should try to work a little bit more with uniformity, but as long as you've got all of the words on there, that's the most important thing. So let me just tune this one up a bit. It's kind of bothering me a bit. All right. We're on to tier 2. All right, let's see it. Guys, same thing that you just did. You did a great job. But now, when I say the word masks, what do you think of? Let's get 6 ideas out there.
Blocking germs.
Blocking germs. So we'll do social distancing. It's a good one. So we got social distancing on there. We've got, I assume that's the name of one of those types of masks. Take that, we'll move that up here. Can we, let's make it easier. Blocking germs works well, but let's just say germs. I think that'll be a little bit easier. Just germs. All right, let's say again.
Virus.
Virus, there we go. So let's get this one, duplicate that. We got the old virus. Okay. Another one. We need 2 more. What else we got? When I think of masks, I think of Halloween. And to be fair, when I think of masks, because we're kind of in it right now, I think of Photoshop. Now, does Halloween and Photoshop have anything to do with disease prevention? Probably not, but I got them out of my system. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, this collage could have something to do with a hat. Like, think about this. And this is why mind maps are so cool. You will start to make associations with words that you never thought, like, if I said disease prevention, nobody in here is thinking Halloween. But now I've already got that like seed planted. I'm like, that is interesting. Like, what if maybe the collage deals with, we have a doctor wearing a K995, but as the doctors get further and further away, they become more like, instead of like the typical surgical masks, we start to see like Halloween masks and weird masks, and like it's just starting to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And then the article becomes, why do only the rich have the ability to afford the really nice masks, or something like that? Like people become ghouls the farther back they go. And then it becomes like a thing about equality. Maybe. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I've got an idea. So this is tier 2. I would do 6 off of vaccine, 6 off of PPE, 6 off of hospital, 6 off of cleanliness, and 6 off of doctor to wrap up tier 2. Then you're going to go tier 3. So 6 off of social distancing, 6 from KN95, 6 to germs, 6 to virus, 6 to Halloween, 6 to Photoshop. Guys, when you get out to tier 3, that's when you're going to see some weird stuff. Stuff that, like, at first you're like, I don't even know how I got out there. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff that when you go back and you reflect and you start to like kind of figure out new ways to attack this visual problem, there's some good stuff out in tier 3. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do by next class is to do a 3-tiered mind map submitted as a PDF. My next question is going to be circle or highlight 5 words that you think, like, I like the look of those words. I like the look of, like, if we do hospital, there's going to be a red cross. If we do hospital, we'll probably have a nurse. If we do hospital, there might be a wheelchair. If we do hospital, there might be a hospital bed. If we do hospital, there might be cafeteria. You know, maybe a virus, the shapes of the virus, and inside of all the little virus shapes, there's red crosses, and all of this is on top of a cafeteria tray. Again, I'm not saying that's a good collage, but that's an idea. You know, those images lend themselves well to what this collage could look like. Spend some time with your mind map. Don't just I don't usually say don't just fly. Let me start over. I don't usually say fly through something because I like quality over quantity, but your mind map might be the only exception. You shouldn't overthink it. You know, if I say doctor and you're like, no, just whatever you think of. I say doctor and you're like, Dr. Bill, my doctor, that goes on there. Doctor, scared, doctor, needle, doctor, stethoscope, doctor, whatever that thing is that they use to hit your knee that makes your knee jerk up. All that stuff goes on there. Don't overthink it. But I've got germs and virus on here. When it comes to cleanliness, I can't use germs and virus again. No duplicates. So you will have 6 times 6, 36 plus 6. So your first 2 tiers, not including your original kernel, your original idea, will have 42. So if I was to go all the way out to tier 2, I will have 42 words. Now, 36 times 6, 216 plus 42. You should have a total of 258 words. I know it sounds like a lot, but look how fast we just did that. Start now. Pick your topic. Don't dwell on it. Pick an angle that you want to take. Start to do your mind map. Your mood board, vision board, that's what some people call them. Your vision board or your mood board. I do these in Canva all the time. Again, you can use Photoshop if you want to. I'll go to design. Let's see what all my mood boards look like.
Quick question.
Yep.
How did we get to 200 words? Because I already started. Okay, so I already started with it.
Good.
And I did the main idea in the middle, then 6 divisions or like different categories, and then from those 6, I'm doing 6.
So where you're going to get to the 200 is you'll be
all from those 6, also
Yeah.
6.
Yep. So now Photoshop needs 6. Halloween needs 6. Virus.
Oh,
That's your
got it,
third.
got
That's your third tier. So think
okay,
about
okay.
original idea does not count as a tier.
Yeah.
6 branch off, that's tier 1. 6 branch off of tier 1 to give you 42. 6 branch off
Okay.
tier 2 to give you whatever that number was, like 200 and whatever. So
Okay.
should wind up with like
Yeah.
256.
Can
And
it
from
be-
that
Sounds good.
from that 256, pick 5 that you're like, I just like the sound of those. That sounds like that could look like something cool. Those are the ones that we'll be working with. Yeah, you can.
Can it be handwritten?
You can, but caution about that. You can do that. If I can't read it, I can't grade it.
For sure. I got you.
Okay. Yeah, my best friend in the world is a doctor. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, doctors are notorious for having bad handwriting. I don't know why. His handwriting stinks. It's terrible. Like, he can't even read his own handwriting. So, smart guy, probably smartest guy I've ever met. Terrible manuscript. So, if you want to handwrite it, that's great. Make sure that, I mean, let somebody else read it. If they can read it, that's a good start.
I'll do it digitally to be safe. Thank you though.
You're welcome. I get compliments all the time on my handwriting, and I always joke, I'm like, well, I'm a graphic designer. That's not necessarily true. I've seen some designers that have crap handwriting, but I really take my time when I write because I know it needs to communicate. If I can't read it, there's been times where I've gone out, had too many drinks, and I've tried to write a note or something. I wake up the next morning, I'm like, what is this? Like, it's indecipherable. Like a caveman wrote it. So yeah, if it needs to communicate, it needs to be legible. Vision boards. Vision boards are pretty simple. All a vision board is, and everything that we do, guys, is going to be all these previs stuff, vision boards, mood boards, and you're going to do a mood board for almost everything. So just get used to it. Like I said, I use Canva. Here's one that I did for a client. Now, I'm assuming it's a 11 by 17. I could be wrong. I don't know. But so he wanted a new logo. Here's his old logo. So I'm looking at it, and he gave me a couple ideas. He's like, I like these fonts, and I like the old-timey look. So he kind of like hand drew something. I see where he's going with it. This helped a lot. But as I was looking at this, I'm like, I'm starting to see some different stuff in here. Like, you've got a lot of triangles, diamonds, and squares, and these are what I call antique shapes: circles, triangles, and squares. Like, these are some of the oldest primitives ever. And I'm looking at the black and the white, and I'm seeing stuff inside here. I'm like, dude, this actually, it's starting to look kind of like the occult to me a little bit. Like, it looks Masonic. Like, if you look at our dollars, they got like pyramids on there with these lines coming off. And I'm not saying like necessarily black magic per se, but like it does have like this occult look to it. And then I started looking at the hands. So he's a printsmith. He silk screens, right? So those hands was something that he really wanted to work on. He didn't like this orientation. He wanted them like when you pull a screen, your hands are more like this, and you put pressure on it. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm looking at the shape. I'm like, oh my God, it almost looks like a Ouija board. I don't know if I've got a good example of it. Guess not. If you guys are familiar with what a Ouija board is, it's like these, there's a name for these things. I don't know what they're called, but you put your hands on it and they scoot around the board. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, that shape even kind of looks like that. So now I'm getting some ideas. I'm starting to look at like Masonic design, starting to look at occult design. I'm starting to look at occult Ouija boards and their typography. Now, I know this guy, and I said, Mike, I got this really good idea, but I don't think for your business it's going to be applicable. But I'm going to breeze it by you. Just get your thoughts. It's like you could really kind of lean into this like black magic thing if you wanted to, and like rebrand. Like instead of Printsmith, it could be Black Magic Design or something like that. And he liked the idea, but he's right. He works with a lot of youth groups. Some are religious. He's like, it's going to send the wrong message to them. I'm like, I totally get it. We'll stay with more of just the old timey blacksmith, but let's put a pin in this because I think we could do something with this. And I'll show you something. Just so you know, like Mike's a good friend of mine. He's a colleague. So we branded our own company. Design board. And this is an offshoot of his company. And we've been doing posters. Let's see. I guess that's a little bit low opacity. Let's see if we can make that a bit better. I guess I don't know where the final is. I thought this is it, but Control J. So we came up with like Black Magic Gorilla. And like I said, this is definitely not the final. I'd like to know where that is. But this is how a mind map and a mood board can spawn other inspiration. This happens to me a lot, where I'll do something for a client or myself, and I'll come up with like 3 or 4 ideas along the way. And it's like, it's not right for this, but I don't want to forget about it because I think it could be used somewhere else. Just file it away in a Rolodex, save it to the cloud. You never know when you'll need that good idea. And it's like, man, this would be perfect for this. And it works great. Like, we haven't had a ton of clients, but the stuff that we've done, the posters that we've done, have been a pretty big splash. Okay, so back to the mood board, and then we'll take a 10-minute break. Let's see what other mood boards I got. Here's a mood board for a skateboard company. Sick boards. So what should a mood board include? Make sure that you have an 11 by 17. We can set that up the same exact way. You know, file, create new design. Make sure that you've got custom size. Make sure it's inches though. Now, I don't care if it's tall or wide, that's irrelevant. I usually do mine wide because it looks better when I present it. Most monitors are wider than they are tall, so it views better, but you do you. Here's 11 by 17. So once you have this, then what you're going to do is you're going to want to find images that kind of relate to what you think your collage might be. So is this a gruesome looking collage, or is it a very safe, plain looking collage? So we were doing vaccines, so maybe I need to find some images of germs. Kind of like these like little protozoa things. So I can copy. And I might be able to just paste right from here. Yeah, just Control V to paste it in. Or you can save it and then upload it. Or you can use Photoshop. I don't really care which one you use. So here's my little germ. That's kind of weird looking. I like that. Maybe it'd be a good texture. Maybe I'm going more for the kids angle, you know, like fun little germs. I'm not. So I want to find something that looks weird. I like this image. That's weird. Copy that. Paste that. Control V. How many images do you need? It's hard to say. I would say fill up your artboard. 11 by 17, you should be able to get quite a few. 10 to 20, you know, maybe somewhere in the middle, 15 images. Think about textures. What kind of textures might you want? I'm going to do grunge texture and see what comes up, because I think it should be grunge texture. A little too grungy on some of these. This kind of looks weird. I like that color. Copy that. Paste that. Grab a few textures. Do I want typography on this? Maybe. What if I do germ type? What comes up? Or virus type? Oh, this isn't what I thought was going to happen, but I'm glad that it did. Look at those things. Yeah, some creepy looking stuff right there. Jump back here. I'm going to put germ typography. Yeah. Some are a little bit too silly. This one looks pretty serious. I like that. I like those colors too. Copy that. That could be a good headline for my article. And then we'll start to arrange these things. So again, on Thursday, what we should be able to do is take a look at your mind map and we'll just go through them in class. I'll say, Isabella, what 5 words came up well? Bop, 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 bop. Let's take a look at your vision board, your mood board. Take a look at it. Yep, see where that's going. Rachel, same thing. What 5 words? Let's take a look at your vision board. Yep, see where that's going. Zach, same thing. Should probably take 20-ish minutes. We'll probably leave it to the end of class. That way, you should be in a pretty good spot to get started with your actual collage. From there, you'll need to do 2 sketches, 2 different sketches of what they look like, 50% critique, and then, yeah, I think we'll be off and running. We cool with taking a 10-minute break? Everyone want to get up and stretch out for a bit?
That sounds cool.
Okay, let's do that. It's 8:03. We'll meet back here at 8:13. We're going to do 2 exercises in Adobe, and then we should be done for the night. I'll answer any questions you got. So let me stop recording this.
Sounds good.
I'll pause recording. I think that'll be better. Cool. That actually worked out pretty well instead of having to stop and then record 2 different ones and upload 2 different things. So if that works, yeah, go ahead.
Quick question before we start.
Sure.
With the Adobe
Mhm.
exercises, I already, like, during this break, I was working on the mind map,
Good.
and for some, like, categories, like, I had some words that kind of had the same like area with other categories, and like I had some words that were like the same. Is that okay, or you want absolutely like completely different words the whole thing?
They can be alike. So let's say that you got cold, and then another one's freezing, and the other one is ice. They're not the same word, but they kind of mean the same thing. So don't have the exact same word. If you've got ice twice, change it to something else. If you've got
Okay.
cold twice, change it to something else. But if they're similar, that's okay. That's going to happen.
Okay, sounds good.
Anybody else have any questions before we get into Adobe?
Do you have any tips on how to fit 258 circles on one page?
At some point, I don't even do the circles anymore. I just try to do lines, and I think it's good to, like, when you get up to like the 3rd tier, just do them top to bottom. So instead of trying to like have it wrap around a word, just have a line coming off the word, and then word, enter, word, enter, word, enter, word, enter. So you just have these little blocks of type, and you can make them smaller too, so they fit. That's the reason we're using 11 by 17. I mean, to be fair, I could have made that original idea smaller to accommodate more words around the outside. Anybody else have questions?
What gonna do for this project?
What's that?
What did it do for what did it do for this article, right?
So did you hear the first part of the chat?
Yes.
Okay, so you're aware. Okay, so you know you're doing a collage, right?
I'm doing collage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the topics that you could choose from?
Yeah.
Okay, so pick one of those.
My topics.
Pick one of the topics.
Fashion.
Sure. Yeah, as far as what topic you guys choose, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But once you get a topic, I would encourage you to go to that site that we were at. So let's see what's under fashion, health and wellness, technology, finance, travel. Let's read books. Beauty and fashion trends, celebrity news and gossip, interior design and home decor, do-it-yourself projects, parenting and family life, pet care and training. I would choose one of these within that. That link is in the chat, So if you go to the chat here and you go up to the top,
I have a
Right.
link.
what's that?
I have it.
Okay, good. So from there, once you get your topic, start to do your mind map. Okay, I'm going to download these two source files and walk you guys through how to do these exercises, but you don't have to wait for me either. There should be links. So if we go to exercises, exercise 1 selections. Here's the PSD. Download the original file. This link right here will bring you to the Adobe Learn, and you can just watch the video. Or I don't recommend doing the tutorial in Photoshop. I think that this is not a great way of going about this. It will work, kind of. Here's the thing, if you do this, it's kind of buggy. And if you do a step out of order, you kind of got to start all over again. So it's real frustrating. I get a lot of students that get halfway through it and they're like, I don't see the next prompt. It's because they switched a tool or they used a weird hotkey or something. So the video is a lot better.
You can adjust photo happen. We'll do that by creating a brightness and contrast adjustment layer.
So it looks
You'll
like
now see our newly added adjustment layer in the layers panel. We'll do that by creating a brightness and contrast adjustment layer. You'll now see.
So first thing that they're going to do is they're going to open this image, which I will. They are going to brighten the background. The clouds are on their own layer. So it brightens up quite a bit. And then ultimately we're going to be changing the color of the truck and I think the wall here. So I think the wall. Yeah, the wall turns blue. I think the curtains turn blue if memory serves. Truck turns green. So you can see the wall is blue, the curtains are blue, truck stays blue. I'll show you guys exactly how to do all this stuff, but that's where we're going with this thing. So if the video is about 3 minutes long, we'll go to, I'm done with this, Control W. And along the way, I'll be passing along some hotkeys that will speed up your workflow. So first up, open something, Control, or if you're on a Mac, substitute Control for Command and substitute Alt for Option. I'm on a PC, so it's Control O. Go to my downloads. It's on my computer, not the cloud. Here we go. All right. So clouds are on their own layer. Truck is on its own layer. A couple things about Photoshop. This is a raster-based program, which means if I zoom in enough, you'll start to see the little pixels that make up this document. We're going to talk a lot about image resolution in the weeks to come, bit depth, color space, and all the like kind of nerdy stuff that you do kind of need to know, but I don't want to get into it right now. Just know that every document inside of Photoshop is a bunch of tiny little squares called pixels, and that's what makes it look like a photograph. It's different than Illustrator. Illustrator doesn't have pixels, it has vectors. So the advantage to having pixels is you have a lot more information. So you can have something that looks photorealistic. Lots of dark shadows, lots of bright highlights, lots of little color differences between an image, as opposed to Illustrator, which generally looks pretty flat. You know, even if it's a really good illustration and they've used gradients and highlights and shadows, you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, unless you're using like gradient meshes, it tends to look, you know, flat. It looks vector. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, that's what it is. Photoshop, I mean, the name's right in the title, photo. This came out as a photo editor. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our first exercise demo, and we're going to talk about non-destructive workflow. If a client handed me this comp and they're like, we like it, but could it be a little bit brighter? And can we change the truck from blue to green? The answer is yes. It's just, what's the best way to do it? And the answer to that question is always the way that you can undo it just like that, and it doesn't affect the image. So let me show you the wrong way to do it. Don't do it this way. I'm going to minimize. Guys, if you need something, I'm going to minimize the chat. Just unmute. This is not the way to do it. If you went to image adjustment, so we'll start with a brightness contrast. And let's make it brighter. Bright, 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 bright. Contrast, contrast, contrast. Choose OK. And then I'm like, okay, now I want to change the color of the truck. So maybe I select the truck. See if it sees it. Nope. Just crash Photoshop. Let's try that one more time. It's going to happen, folks. This computer is a little old. I plan on getting a new one. That could be a problem too. Let's close this out. Come on. Okay, what a mess. Third time's a charm. Yes, it's fine. Oh my God. Might have a real problem here. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Hey, what if I just go to file open? It doesn't like that. Well, I'm kind of in a pickle, folks. 826. How do we want to do this? What if I just
We could watch the video that you
You know,
linked
you absolutely could. I would prefer to do it with you guys. I just want to see if I can. I mean, I guess what I could do is I could stop the chat. I could restart my computer. And I think that might be what I do. Okay. Okay, let's try this one more time. Apologies. All right, the way that you don't want to do this is you don't want to alter this layer. So if I went to image adjustments and I did my brightness contrast, up the brightness, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna change the color of the truck. I better just get the wand tool this time, so it kind of threw it off last time. Magic wand, I'll select this blue, continuous. So, all right, you want this truck selected, so just pretend for a second that this is all of the truck. And then you go to image, adjustment, hue saturation. Say, all right, what you said you wanted a green truck, is that right? So we'll push this towards green. Okay. Control D. Because here's what's going to happen, and this happens all the time. I got a great story lined up when we do an image restoration. It literally happened to me. The client's going to come back and be like, I didn't say green. No, we wanted a blue truck. If you did it to the layer, there's no way to go back. So we need to figure out ways that are reversible. So let's do this again, but let's do this intelligently. We're going to be using what's called adjustment layers, and you're going to be using a lot of these this year. So let me push over my little chat pod here. And I know we're at 8:30. We're going to be done with both of these in less than 15 minutes. So just hang with me. All right, adjustment layers. What are they? What do they do? They will do exactly what I just did, but they're going to do it on their own layer. So that way we can kind of pick and choose what gets affected. And not only that, we can turn it off or we can change it. And it's not altering the pixels of the actual photograph. So we're going to select the truck layer. And we're going to go down here to the little icon. It looks like a circle. It's like half white and half black. That is your adjustment layers. You click on this. And the first thing I'm going to do is a brightness contrast. So just like before, I get a little widget here. I can up the brightness. I can lower the brightness. So I'll make it a little bit brighter. I can lower the contrast. I can up the contrast. Now, contrast isn't really the point of this one. We just want to brighten up the photo a bit because it's a little underexposed. Now, what's cool about this is your brightness contrast has its own layer, and you can turn it off or you can turn it back on, or you can click on the little icon here and you can now alter and say, maybe the client thinks this is too bright. I would agree. So let's tone it down some. I'm going to stay about, I'm about 75. I think 75 looks pretty decent. Before, very underexposed. After. Actually, I'm going to double click this. I think 75 might be a bit too hot. Let's go down to about 60. 60 looks good. Cool. Now, there is something else that's attached to this adjustment layer, which, I mean, the adjustment layer not affecting the layer itself is big unto itself. That's huge. But it's also got something else with it. It's this little white box right here. This is a layer mask. You're going to get real accustomed to layer masks this year. In fact, your collage, the reason we're doing a collage is so you can start to exercise layer masking. A layer mask, think about the word mask. Mask is something like I just said Halloween. We talked about little masks right here. It covers something. That's all a mask does. A mask will cover a part of an image or it will reveal a part of an image. The way it was explained to me was think about a window. When the window's clean, let's say it's white. So when the window's clean, I can see everything through it. But if I was to spray paint the window black, can't see through it. It's obscuring part of that thing. The clouds are on top, so they're not getting affected by the brightness contrast. I could move them below, and you see that they really pop out white. They look kind of phony that way. So I'm going to leave those set on top. So right now, the brightness contrast is just affecting everything below it. My next adjustment layer is going to be a hue saturation. Let me move this down a little bit. My next one, I'm going to do this between the truck and the brightness contrast. So here is my adjustment layers. The one I'm going to choose is going to be hue saturation. Now you can do this one of two ways. You could create a selection right off the get-go. We could make a marquee selection to grab this wall and just affect that part of the wall, or we can do it opposite. I'm going to do mine opposite. So I'm going to choose hue saturation. Now hue saturation is a pretty fun adjustment layer. What you've got here is you've got the ability to make it black and white by pulling all the saturation down, or we could really make it saturated. I'll leave that set to 0. Lightness is something you don't usually use. There's better ways of doing it, but you can make it black, except for the clouds, because remember, they're on top, or you can make it all white. I'll leave that set to 0 as well. The one that's fun is this hue slider. So have fun with it. Just crank it on any direction. Okay, the wall's turned red. The house is definitely red. Now the house is purple. The wall is blue. We're looking for the wall and the curtains to be blue. So I'm at about -151. I'm gonna leave it there. All right, so some of this looks pretty good. Other parts, not so much. You know, this looks like some type of weird Mad Max place now that's got like yellow sky or something. So right now the window is clean. It's letting all of the hue saturation adjustment through. I just want little pieces of it to come through. So what can I do? Well, I'm going to spray paint that window black. I'm going to flip the layer mask. So what was once white will become black. It's real simple to do. You'll make sure that you're on the layer mask. Now, apologies about this. I didn't design this program. The only way that you're going to know that you're on a layer mask is if you click on the layer mask and you see a teeny little white bounding box around it. I don't know if you guys can see it right here, as opposed to being on the adjustment layer. This is the mask. This is the adjustment layer. If you try to do something to the adjustment layer, like try to invert it or something, nothing's going to happen. And if you do it to a smart object, it'll rasterize it. I'll show you what that is in 4 or 5 weeks. Make sure that you're on the mask. All you got to do is hit Control or Command I, as in igloo, to invert it. Now, don't despair. You haven't undone anything that can't be redone. You've just painted that window black. So now nothing's coming through. Hit Control or Command I again. Flip it right back around. So it works. Now I just need to show certain parts of this. So I want to paint in the curtains. And over here, I'm just going to make a big selection. I think it'll be easiest to start with painting. So here's my brush, B for brush. Now, I don't know what brush you guys have loaded in. I've got like a little charcoal-y brush. Let me go back to my default brushes, if I've even got them loaded. Legacy brushes, there we go. I'll show you, we got a whole unit on brushes. I'm just going to go to a default hard round brush. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hit Control or Command plus a few times. I'm going to hold down the space bar to pull out the little hand tool. Any tool that you've got, I don't care what tool it is, if you hold down the space bar, it'll turn to the hand tool. And what this will allow you to do is click, hold, and drag and scrub the artboard. So I can just click, hold, and drag and move this over. All right, I'm going to paint. Now it's important that I'm painting with white. I've got normal blend mode, 100% opacity. So if I click, hold, and drag, I should start to paint white. And what this is doing is it's revealing part of that mask. Now, if I paint over white, nothing's really going to happen because white doesn't really change hues. I'm going to take my time, try not to hit the house, and paint these curtains back in. I'm going to stay away from the car because if I hit the car is going to turn, I don't know, like purple or something. So I messed up a little bit. I'm going to mess up a little bit more. I'll show you how to fix that. You'll make mistakes. It's going to happen. I want you to make mistakes because I want you to know how to fix them. So the window looks good. I've got the curtains nice and blue, but the car got a little bit away from me. So if white showed, it stands to reason that black, flip my foreground and background color here, go back to black, and just paint the areas that I messed up. This is why masks are so useful because it's so editable. You can change things on a whim. You can even see it on my mask. You see a little block of white there? That's the curtains that I just painted. This wall should be pretty easy. This is just a marquee selection, or you could paint it. You could paint it manually. It'll take you longer. But this tool right here, if I click, hold, and drag, this is what designers call the marching ants. It just means a selection. Anytime that you see a bunch of little dots that look like they're kind of moving, that means you made a selection. The selection is on the mask layer, so I should be able to fill this with the background color. Command backspace will fill with foreground. Alt or Option backspace will fill with foreground. Control or Command backspace, background, Alt or Option backspace, foreground. So that's what I want it filled with. I'm done. I'll hit Control D as in Delta to deselect. Save this as a PDF file. Save as. PDF. I'll save it to my downloads. Save, and this is what you upload to the folder. You're done with this one. Everyone cool on that? Can we move on to the next one?
Yep.
One to go. All right, let's download it. Should be a bunch of orange slices. If memory serves. All right, so this is the one that we're going to work with. Now there is no demo because this is my file. Let's see where download. Oh, it's right here. Download. All right, so just pay attention to this video and this will be archived. But here's what we're going to do. It's really the same exact thing that we did last time, but we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to have 9 adjustment layers. 9. Because what we're going to do is we're going to turn this orange wedge into a rainbow. We're going to use a different selection tool for it. So here we go. File, open, Control O. Open. Okay, now I think it's a good idea to start with a selection, but you don't have to. You could paint this in. It would work the exact same way. We did the marquee tool last exercise. What would be a good tool to select just a wedge of this orange? There's a lot to choose from. I think in this case, underneath the magic wand, we've got a quick select. Quick select's pretty good for this one. So I'm going to zoom in, Control plus a few times, hold that space bar down. I'm going to start up here. This is going to be a red slice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, hold, and drag. Pull that selection out. Now, it's okay, but it's not great. I actually went a little bit too far over here. So what I can do is I can hold down the Alt or the Option key, and I can subtract from that selection. It's pretty good. I'm going to try to grab a little bit more. I let go of Alt now. That's not bad. It's about as good as I can get it. So if I need to add more later, I can paint it in. I'll go back to my adjustment layers. It's going to be a hue saturation. And I'm going to spin this hue slider until I get a nice red. Right there. It looks pretty good. Not bad. Red's done. So we're going to do Roy G. Biv. Red, orange. Well, it already kind of is orange, so I'm probably okay there. Maybe I want to boost up the orange though. I can go back to my quick select. Make sure that I'm on the layer this time. If you're on the adjustment layer, you can't really select anything. So I have to go back to the layer, click, hold, and drag, grab this wedge. That looks pretty good. If I make a mistake, which I just did, I'll hold down that Alt or Option and knock off that chunk that I made. I'll do another adjustment layer, hue saturation. I don't need to change the I don't need to change the hue. I'm just going to up the saturation so it's a little bit brighter orange. Not bad. Don't know if I needed to do that, but I feel better that I did. Click on the background. I'm going to click, hold, and drag. Hold down the Alt or Option, knock that piece off that I got too far with. Adjustment layer, hue saturation. Now it's time to find the yellow. It's got to be the other way. Just like that. All right, I'm rocking and rolling now. Go back to my background, click, hold, and drag. And guys, if you wanted to paint these, you absolutely could. You're just painting with white and black. Hold down the Alt or Option, knock that piece off that I got too far with. Adjustment layer. Hue saturation. So Roy G, this would be green. There we go. Keep working your way around there until you get all the colors of the rainbow. That's it. Save it as a PDF and submit it. I'll stop sharing. If you guys want to follow along, please do. If you've got questions, you can share your screen. I can give you permission to do that. But we're at about getting very close to the time that we can technically leave. So let me quickly go to participants. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. I guess I did. Let me plug in attendance. Hang on, don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop recording though.